The rain wasn't just outside, it was in my bones. That's the only way I can describe it. A cold, damp chill that had settled so deep, I was sure I'd never feel warm again. I was counting the minutes until close, watching the clock over the coffee machine tick slower than my own heartbeat. My hands were trembling. Not from fear, just from the sheer, exhausting effort of standing for 16 hours. And my shoes. I could feel the cracked sole letting in a draft every time I pushed through the kitchen door. That's when they walked in. A man in a coat that cost more than my car, and a little girl, her small hand lost in his. They sat in my section. He ordered for them both, his voice tight, like a closed fist. The girl just stared at the table, clutching a worn, stuffed rabbit. There was a silence around them, a thick glass wall I recognized. Grief. I served their food, poured his coffee. My hand shook so badly the cup rattled in the saucer. I mumbled an apology, my face burning. And then the little girl did something that broke me. She didn't say a word. She just slowly took off her little cardigan, folded it neatly on the table, and slid it toward me. Her eyes were huge and serious. My breath hitched. I looked from her to the man and back. I didn't take the sweater, but I gave her the first real smile I'd had in me for months. "Thank you, sweetheart. But you keep your warmth, I'm okay." And she smiled back, just a little one. But in that empty, fluorescent-lit diner, it felt like sunrise. He came back, every Tuesday and Thursday night. Always her section. His name was Daniel. Hers was Sophie. I learned Sophie liked her pancakes with the blueberries on the side, not mixed in, and that she could draw incredible pictures of dragons. I learned Daniel watched his daughter when she talked to me with a look I couldn't place. Not suspicion, something closer to awe. One night, a brutal cold snap hit. The diner was a tomb. After I closed, I hurried to my car, fumbling with my keys, my breath pluming in the air. I was just pulling a duffel bag from the trunk when I heard his voice behind me. "Emily." I froze, clutching the bag to my chest like a shield. He was just standing there, his own car idling nearby. "It's late," he said. His gaze took in the duffel, my thin jacket, everything. "Where are you headed?" The lie was right there, to a friend's, to my place, but I was so tired, so desperately, soul-crushingly tired of lying. The truth came out in a whisper of fog. "Nowhere, Daniel. I'm headed nowhere." He didn't flinch. He just looked at me for a long, terrible moment, then down at his own hands. When he spoke, his voice was low, stripped bare. "My daughter needs a mother." He paused, and the words hung in the frozen air. "And you need a place to call home." I felt it like a slap. The heat of humiliation rushed up my neck. He saw me as a problem to be solved, a transaction. "Is that a job offer?" My voice was sharp, brittle. "Because I'm not a charity case." "That's not what I—" "Good night, Daniel." I got in my car and drove. I didn't look back. For a week, I called in sick. I slept in a different lot every night, the cold seeping through the windows. I was angry, at him, at myself, at the whole damn world. But mostly, I kept seeing Sophie's smile. The quiet way she'd listen to me. The way her father's stern face would soften just a fraction when he saw it. He found me. Of course he did. I was at a laundromat watching my uniform spin in a slow, sad circle. "Emily." He stood a few feet away, giving me space. "I am so sorry. What I said, how I said it, it was clumsy and cruel." I didn't answer, just kept watching the suds. "I'm not offering a contract," he continued, his words careful. "I'm offering a room, a safe place, boundaries, respect." He took a step closer, his voice dropping. Sophie asks for you every day. She doesn't need a nanny, she needs you. And I think, maybe you need someone too." I finally looked at him. The arrogance was gone. In its place was a raw, unfamiliar honesty, and a plea, not for him, for her. "It's not a deal," he said softly. "It's two people helping each other survive." The word survive did it. That's what I was doing, just surviving. I was so tired of just surviving. I moved into the guest room in his big, quiet, beautiful house. It felt like walking onto a stage set. Everything was perfect and cold. For weeks, we were painfully polite. Two ghosts and a little girl tiptoeing around each other. But Sophie, she bloomed. She'd wait for me to get home, her homework spread out on the kitchen island. I'd brush her hair before bed, and she'd tell me about her mother. Little stories, sweet and sad. The silence in the house began to fill, with her laughter, with the sound of my old awful coffee maker in the morning, with the quiet hum of Daniel and I reading in the same living room, a comfortable silence growing between us. Then my past found me. My ex, Mark, showed up at the house one Saturday. He was on the porch, his voice slick and threatening through the door. My whole body turned to ice. The old fear, the one that lived in my bones, roared back to life. Before I could even move, Daniel was there. He didn't push past me. He didn't play the hero. He simply put a steadying hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eye and said, "You are safe here. Do you want me to handle this?" I nodded, my throat too tight for words. He opened the door just enough. His voice was calm, legal, and utterly immovable. "She does not want to see you. You are trespassing. The next voice you hear will be a police officer's." He closed the door, locked it, and then he just stood there with me. A solid, silent presence between me and the storm outside. I leaned my forehead against the cool wood of the door, and I cried. Not from fear this time, from relief. A deep, shuddering relief that finally, I had stopped running. That night, Daniel and I didn't say much. We sat at the kitchen table, the overhead light off, just the stove light glowing. Sophie was asleep, her rabbit tucked under her arm. "I want you to stay, Emily," he said, his voice rough in the dark. "Not for Sophie, for me. With me." It wasn't a proposal, it was a confession, and my own confession came just as quiet. I already am. The paperwork came later. A custody agreement making it all official, legal, permanent. But it felt like a formality. The real contract had already been signed. In shared looks over Sophie's head, in quiet support in a darkened kitchen, in the terrifying, beautiful act of choosing to stay. The story ends in the backyard, on an ordinary evening. Sophie was between us, swinging our hands as we walked. She stopped, looking up at the first stars. She squeezed both our hands and said softly, "I don't miss Mommy as much anymore." The air went still. It was the most heartbreaking and healing sentence I had ever heard. Daniel's eyes met mine over her head, shimmering with unshed tears. He didn't hire a mother for his daughter. We didn't make a deal for a home. We just built a family. Piece by fragile, beautiful piece. And for the first time in my life, the rain outside, it was just weather. The silence after Sophie spoke was the loudest, most tender thing I'd ever heard. "I don't miss Mommy as much anymore." Daniel's hand tightened around mine, and I saw him swallow hard, looking up at the darkening sky like he was searching for composure. He found it not in the stars, but when he looked back down at our daughter. "She'd be so happy you feel that way, sweetheart," he said, his voice thick. "She'd want you to be happy." That night marked an end and a beginning. The walls between Daniel and me didn't just come down, they dissolved into dust. We stopped being two people sharing a house and started being a unit, a team. If I woke from a nightmare about my past, I didn't lie stiff in the dark anymore. I'd pad downstairs to find him already in the kitchen, warming milk on the stove, wordlessly handing me a mug. We'd sit on the back steps, shoulders touching, until the ghosts receded. He asked me to come to his company's holiday party, not as the nanny, not as the help. As my date, he said, almost shyly, holding out a garment bag. Inside was a simple, elegant emerald green dress. I saw it, and it looked like you. I wore the dress. I held his arm. I watched the powerful, curious stares of his colleagues, and for the first time, I didn't feel like an imposter. I felt chosen. On the drive home, he reached over and took my hand, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. No grand declaration. Just a silent, steady connection that vibrated through my whole body. But the old world has a way of leaving loose threads. Mark, my ex, didn't give up. He filed a frivolous lawsuit claiming I owed him money. It was a harassment tactic, transparent and mean, but it worked. The certified letter arrived, a cold piece of paper that made my hands go numb. The legal language was a maze, but the threat was clear. Show up in court, or a default judgment would be issued against me. I showed Daniel the letter at the breakfast table, my shame a living thing. "I'll handle it," I mumbled. "I'll find a way to pay." "No." The word was calm, final. He put down his coffee cup. "You're not facing him alone. Not ever again." He wasn't playing the hero, he was stating a fact. He called his attorney that morning. "We're going to end this," he told me. Permanently. The day of the hearing was overcast. Daniel sat beside me in the sterile courtroom, his presence a solid wall of quiet strength. When Mark walked in, smirking, a wave of nausea hit me. But then Daniel's hand covered mine on the table, warm and heavy. He didn't let go. Our attorney was a shark in a suit. He presented evidence, my old police reports, witness statements from the diner manager about my bruised face years before, records of Mark's arrests. He argued this was a malicious, retaliatory suit designed to intimidate a victim. He also submitted a petition I knew nothing about, a request for a permanent restraining order. When the judge asked Daniel why he, a third party, was so invested, Daniel stood up. He looked at the judge, then at me, his gaze unwavering. "Because Emily is my family. She is the mother of my child, and I am here to protect my family." My family. The words echoed in the quiet room, sealing every private promise we'd made. The judge dismissed Mark's suit and granted the restraining order for 5 years. As we walked out of the courthouse, Mark shot me a venomous look, but it had no power. It bounced off the new life surrounding me. The late afternoon sun broke through the clouds. Daniel opened the car door for me, and as I slid in, he leaned in, his face close to mine. "It's over," he whispered, and I believed him. A few weeks later, Daniel's attorney came to the house. He laid out new papers on the coffee table. "This," Daniel explained, taking my hand, "is a petition for legal guardianship. It gives you permanent legal standing in Sophie's life. The right to make medical decisions, school decisions, to be her parent, in the eyes of the law if anything ever happens to me." I stared at the documents, the legal jargon blurring. "Daniel, it's not an obligation," he said, cutting me off gently. "It's a choice. My choice. Our choice. I want you to have this security. I want Sophie to know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are hers, forever." I signed the papers through a haze of happy tears, but the real moment, the one that sealed it all, came later. We were in the backyard again, Sophie was trying to teach our lazy golden retriever Murphy to fetch. Daniel stood behind me, his arms wrapped around my waist, his chin resting on my shoulder. We watched her laugh, her hair flying. "Daddy, Emily," she called, running up to us, breathless. She didn't pause. She took both our hands, the way she always did now, and looked up, her face suddenly serious and soft. "At school, we're making family trees. What do I put for you?" My heart stopped. Daniel's arms tightened around me. "What do you want to put, Soph?" he asked, his voice gentle. She thought for a second, her small nose scrunched. "Well, you're my daddy, and Emily's my mom." She said it not like a question, but like a simple, discovered truth. "So, I'll put Mom. Is that okay?" I knelt down in the grass, my vision swimming. I cupped her perfect face in my hands. "It is the greatest honor of my life," I managed to say. She hugged me, then dashed back to the dog. Daniel knelt beside me, his eyes shining. He didn't say, "I love you." He didn't have to. Instead, he said the words that meant everything. "Welcome home, Emily." And I was. Not to a house or a deal or a safe harbor. I was home. In his eyes, in her smile. In the quiet, chosen, deeply human love we built from the broken pieces we'd both carried in. The storm was finally, beautifully over.